Officially recording. So here we go. Today, I can only see Danny. So Liz and Chris, I hope you have your coffee. As here we are talking about our wonderful coffee and contracts. But like I mentioned, I got a couple questions around the coming soon form, and so I thought it'd be wise for us to have a conversation about the coming soon form. And so the coming soon authorization form is done specifically on a listing side, right? So this would come immediately following a listing contract being signed. Okay, so the first thing you'll do is you'll sign the listing contract, and then you have three ways that you can go through this thing. And so let me just go ahead and pull up a whiteboard because sometimes this is easier to do. I'm a visual learner, right? I think you guys have learned that over time with me right now. Okay, so the first thing you can do is from a listing contract. All right, so if we get a listing contract, there's a couple of options that we can do, right? So number one, we can immediately go turn into MLS, right? You have 48 hours to do so from the last date of the contract. So that's the first thing you can do. The second thing that you can do is actually withhold, right? Or what they call a withheld form. Withheld form, it's actually a status, but there's a specific form that you can withhold it from the MLS, right? And then the third thing you get the beautiful option to do is really what we're going to talk about today is you can put it in the coming soon status. And this is also a form that you get to turn in. So you get the option upon facilitating or executing a listing contract to either A, turn it into MLS right away. So you get 48 hours to get that thing up and loving. Or you go B, you can turn in a withheld form, which is my personal favorite. And then the other option, of course, is the coming soon status. Now, the fun thing about, so the coming soon status, right? If I was to, for lack of a better thing here, I'm going to tell you that this thing is going to indicate let's call this our third party sites. Okay. So as this thing goes out, once you turn something into the MLS, then it automatically feeds right to the third-party sites, and away we go. The withheld status doesn't actually feed. It goes into North Star, sits as an active listing, and then there it stands. The coming soon status, when that expires, then that actually will feed back out to the websites as well. So part of my issue with that is that coming soon used to be really, really great. I got to move your guys' faces because I can't see you. It used to be a great option because it didn't feed to the third-party sites. Well, somebody decided, really Zillow did, when they came out with their coming soon feature, they said, well, hey, if I'm going to put it coming soon in the MLS, can I just put it coming soon in all the other third-party sites? So that's when the moment you put it into MLS, and even as a coming soon status, you give it 15, 20 minutes from, changing the status from inactive to coming soon, it'll hit the third-party sites, our website included, by the way. And so that's great, but in my opinion, you have to have all of your photos ready. You have to have your wording, your verbiage. You have to have the full thing pretty much ready to go active, only with the sole goal of not showing it or trying to build a little bit of anticipation. Now, there are some great spots to use it. Hey, we're going to be gone this weekend. Can we just hold off showings until then? Yep. Or hey, it's a really unique property. You want to build a little bit of excitement about it? Yep. So there are ways to use the coming soon form in that status. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is really trying to go through the whole process of, getting the listing contract, bringing it down, getting the coming soon, and then waiting for the thing to expire so that it actually heads out to the third-party websites. Okay. So when we start working through the coming soon form, here's where we get a little bit of fun. Okay. So the coming soon form, easily located inside of transaction desk, right? It is called the coming soon listing authorization form, just so you know. Now, the first thing is notice to agent, a copy of this must be completed, signed, and uploaded into a coming soon listing in an ad edit status. So if you actually go into ad edit and you change to a coming soon, a little dialog box will pop up that says, hey, please give me your coming soon link or your coming soon form. So then you have to sign it, and then they actually review these things and make sure that, okay, you do have the authorization for a coming soon. So you do actually have to have this form signed. It can be signed electronically. It can be a scanned wet signature in a PDF that you upload. Whatever you want to do is totally fine, but you do need it. And so that document is critical. It does need to be turned in that process. Otherwise, you'll get a $1,000 fine plus. So let's walk you through the informed consent. The undersigned is the owners of the property at. So here's where you're going to put the listing property or the address of the property that you're looking to sell. So this will auto-populate if you walk through the wizard in Transaction Desk of like a new listing and you fill up the legal and the address and the owner's names. A lot of this stuff will populate on your behalf. So the address, the county, the PID number, and even your name, if it's all entered into the widget or the wizard, sorry, as you walk through Transaction Desk, a lot of this will populate for you. So that's pretty nifty-galifty. When we walk through this, you can see again, you will have it listed with, so it would say like Brandon Johnson, right? Or you could simply say Coldwell Banker Crown Realtors. The contract date. So now this is going to be the date of your listing contract, the date that it goes effective. Okay, so whatever is on line 7 of your listing contract, that's where this particular date field is going to go. And your contract expiration date is going to be, of course, that field immediately following it that says this listing contract is good from this date to this date. That expiration date is what you would put into here. And oftentimes they'll want to see this accompanying a listing contract. Rarely do I don't submit the listing contract because I say they don't need it, because at the bottom the seller signed this form anyway, and I'm not interested in giving up my listing contracts, which has compensation on there. So I try to hold my compensation as close to the chest as I can with any vendor, by the way. So those are going to be the two fields there. County, again, should pre-populate if you walk all that information through. Otherwise, you enter the county. You do that because North Star covers, I think, 8 states now. So they're just trying to make sure that they can follow you well. And then the PID number. Again, if you go through the listing wizard or the transaction wizard, it'll ask you for the PID number or the PIN, parcel identification number, depending upon which county you're in. And so that will auto-populate there as well. Next is where you're going to choose your property type. So if you remember, you can market a property in many different buckets, right? So let's say you have a single family, a split entry that's been converted into a duplex, right? Well, it's still zoned single family. Somebody could easily remove the door and use it as a single family home, and now it's a 5-bedroom, 2-bath home instead of a duplex. So you could say that, I want to market this as a single family option because all we have to do is take out the one door. And then maybe, it's a multifamily as well, too, because you want to come back and say, well, what I want to do is look at this and go, there's great options for income and revenue generation and all those other things. So I think from there, you have the opportunity to mark really as many of these as you want. So you can come through and you could check all that apply. It's only when you get to the sold process, you have to only report the sale in the one category, then you cancel the other listings. So you can do that if you wanted to. You could walk through a couple of these and figure it out as we go. Whoops, sorry, I took my screen share off there. Any questions up to that point? Pretty cut and dry, but want to make sure we're not missing anything. Seeing none, okay, we'll keep moving on. That's totally fine. So coming soon status indicates that the listing brokerage and the seller are preparing the property for sale before marketing as an active status. Now, again, my theory is that with the way technology and the way we push all of this information, you now have to basically have you get one chance for a first impression, right? Because if you understand how the MLS grid works, right? So the data is going to go from ad edit. It gets pushed to a service called MLS grid. Okay. The MLS grid is what then feeds that information out to North Star, our website, Zillow, Realtor.com, Homes, you name it. Everything else is being fed from the MLS grid. So the MLS grid is actually the target thing. So if you understand how that works, you know that even in a coming soon, when you flip that in ad edit, that's going to push the data to the MLS grid. MLS grid is then going to push it to all the other websites. And it's going to, your MLS number is already established. All the contact information is already there. So any updates you make to it, meaning you add new photos, you change the public remarks, all of that information is now going to be matched through MLS Grid to Zillow. Let's say Zillow's it's going to say, hey, I have new information, Zillow. Check out listing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's got new photos and new text. Here you go. And Zillow takes it in and they say, oh, okay, the status of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is now active. We will change that. Okay, it's got 7 new photos. We'll add those. These remarks are different. Yep, we'll add those. And then now Zillow's listing is active, but it doesn't repopulate. It doesn't re-show in people's email searches. It doesn't re-show in any of their context unless Zillow has changed their algorithms, which last I knew they did not. So it's like you get one chance, even at a coming soon, to make your first awareness of a property. And that's where, even though it says you're preparing the property for sale, I still feel like you got to have the thing like almost turnkey ready. You're just in a waiting mode, right? So it's kind of a bummer, but it used to be a really good tool. It was a phenomenal tool. I don't know that I agree if it's a tool much of value anymore personally. So coming soon is not intended to give the listing brokerage an advantage to the detriment of cooperating brokers, nor to circumvent the sale of the property on an open market. So this is not so that you can hog both sides of the deal. This isn't so that we get the ability to sell it in-house, however that can happen. It's simply to allow the seller time to say, hey, I'm coming soon here, but I still need to work on my property. So that's where we kind of work through some of this. Properties in coming soon status in North Star MLS may not be shown. So it's important for you to know, you as the listing agent do not get to show the property to a buyer or a client of yourself. And you cannot allow anybody else to show it. So the property that sits in a coming soon status is just stuck there. It's just there, and it's simply like putting a billboard up, and that's all you get to do with it. Any showing of a property in a coming soon status disqualifies the property from the status, and $1,000 fine is assessed to the listing agent. That's you. So the moment you let somebody in, that's when you have the problem that you get to start to walk through and try to figure out. So no matter what you do here, just make sure that you're very aware that the fines come, and they are aware, because with electronic lock boxes, it's really easy to determine, hey, did somebody get in? Did somebody not? Okay. So that's the overall intent of the coming soon status. Okay, then you get these 4 kind of big bullet points down here on the bottom. Okay, so availability date. Now this is the date that you will say you get the opportunity to kind of determine when it is available for showings, because what will happen is listings in the coming soon status automatically transition to active status on the availability date, which cannot exceed 21 days from the date of entry. So you can have a coming soon for 21 days, 3 weeks. After that, the thing will automatically flip if you don't have a date in here, or they'll come back and say, you have an invalid listing, right? So if your contract date, for point of conversation, let's say was September 27th, it's going to be a 6-month contract. Let's just say it ends on 5/31. Now I have 21 days from the date of entry, okay, which means this thing has to be in MLS within 48 hours. So I already know that. But let's say if it was the 27th, I'm just going to look here. So the Monday, the 27th, let's say I'm going to give it till that following Friday, which would be October 8th. Okay, so it says I basically gave them a week and almost 2 weeks of time to prep the thing, and I'm telling MLS, hey, just so you know, you can automatically flip this to active. We've already agreed with the seller that 10/8 is the date. Well, that was kind of fun. 10/8 is the date. So that's the day that showings are going to be allowed. You can show it. Cooperating brokerages can show it. You name it. A good time can be had by all. All leading up to that, though, for the next 2 weeks, you'd be able to send out email blasts, post it online. You can do any type of marketing you want. Put a sign up in the yard. Whatever you want, you can do all the marketing activities you want. You just can't walk a client through the front door. Now, a property, item number 2 here, a property in North Star MLS's coming suiting status may not be shown. I feel like we've talked about that. Potential buyers and realtors, including realtors in the listing brokerage office, cannot schedule a showing of a property in a coming soon status or given access to physically view the property until the availability date. So if Danny's got a listing coming up here and she's got this super awesome, fourplex that I really, really want to see, and she tells me, well, I have it in coming soon because we're we're working on getting the tenants aware of what's happening and they want to see the units, so on and so forth. Totally fine. But then I am not, as a buyer, I wouldn't be able to go and look at this thing. And I wouldn't be able to even do a showing of any status at this point in time. Now, the only thing that you can sort of work around is like if Danny asked for help in doing pricing evaluations or something like that, before the contract was signed, I could walk in and assist in that, or any of you could. But once the contract is signed and the coming soon it's kind of like on lockdown. You don't get to really touch it. Okay. So that's kind of the process that sort of goes through that. So that's item number 2. Basically, nobody gets to walk through the door. Item number 3 here. As soon as the property is available for showings, the status might be changed to active. Okay. Must be changed to active. Once the listing is active, it cannot revert to a coming soon status. So this is important because some people say, well, we flipped it and now we want to go back because we found out we have more work to do. Nope, not how it works, sunshine. What you do get to do is basically come back and say you can go to like a temporarily not available for showing, right? TNAS. You could do that. You could pull it back into a withheld status for a little bit if something drastic comes back up. And this happens, right? The sewer backed up, or a big wind took a tree down, or some major family emergency happened with the family, right? So there's lots of things that could happen where you would want it so that people still know that it's available and it's an active listing. You just can't show it right now, which is what the TNAS, the temporarily not available for showing feature, is really designed for. So you just can't push it back into a coming soon status. If you want it to the point where nobody can show the property, TNAS is going to do essentially the same thing. But then people can still write offers and do the whole thing. And so it's another way to work around that, if you will. So that's item number 3. Item number 4 is going to say that the listing broker, here we go. Item number 4. Listing broker may not relist a property in coming soon status unless the listing has been off the market for more than 90 days. Some people like to take advantage of marketing efforts. And please don't do that, because you have a 90-day gap from the time it expires or you pull it off the market to when you can put it as coming soon. Now, within that 90 days, if it's day 60, you can put it back immediately as active. You can't put it as coming soon. You'd have to wait that 90-day period. If the property is listed with a new brokerage or the property's been sold, then you can put it as a coming soon immediately. It's only if it stays within the brokerage and you maintain the listing that you have to wait that 90-day period from bringing it off market before a coming soon status. The last thing you're going to do on the bottom side here is, I'm going to clear my notes here. Last thing, again, the seller acknowledges and accepts the consequences of the decision to deny property showings and MLS advertising feeds for the period indicated above. This document must be uploaded to the listing in Northstar MLS when the withheld status is used. So again, once you flip the flag, then this thing gets ready to go and goes off and running. So then, of course, the owner signs, property owners sign. Remember, it's all properties all owners must sign. So if there's more than 2, just have them sign anywhere on the form. Then you get to sign this thing, sign and date down here, your office ID, your agent ID, your brokerage name, and then, of course, your phone number in case they need to talk to you because they don't like you for some reason and you filled out the form wrong. So that's kind of the basics of the coming soon form. Again, I don't really use this one that much, only because I don't like it that it goes out beyond feeds. I know down here it says the consequences of the decision to deny property showings and MLS advertising feeds. I'm going to tell you that I don't think this line is accurate, because they should have removed this, because it does actually push out to the feeds. So I know it's a conversation they have at the Northstar board pretty often, because I yell at them and say, this is super dumb, fix this. I don't agree that it should be that way. I think anyway, different topic for a different day, right? But for now, so this is the basic of the form. So again, if you remember, you get 3 options when you sign the listing contract: turn it in, get it coming soon, or put it in a withheld status, right? Because Northstar MLS, ultimately, they say we have 48 hours and we need to know what's going on with the listing to protect you. And again, the clear cooperation rule from the other place, NAR, says that you have 24 hours from the moment you publicly market that thing. So if you want to try to cheat the system, you get 24 hours, and that's not even cheating the system. That's just what people give you. Before that, you have to get the thing in MLS so that all our cooperating brokerages have the opportunity to market and sell the property as part of our agreement of being a Realtor member. So any questions on this form? Look at that. We're going to make it through one form in one day, you guys. It's pretty exciting stuff.
So the minute it's coming soon, we can start advertising anywhere.
Yes. But you
And then my
cannot
other
show it.
My other question is, when it goes on to Zillow and other places, does it say coming soon on there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It will.
Because I've had people send me like Zillow links with a coming soon house thinking they can see it right away. So I didn't know if it.
Yeah. So what's kind of fun here, for sale. Let me see if I can find. I don't really go to Zillow, so this is I really shouldn't do this live with you, so you can see how much I don't know about Zillow. Similar to see how this one says price cut. So this one says there's a price cut here. Yep. It'll say coming soon as well. Now, the one thing here, though, is since Zillow became a brokerage, right? So they have a real estate license in the state of Minnesota. Since they now are a brokerage, they're no longer just an advertising thing. They now have to play by all of our same rules, which is why you see North Star MLS's logo on here. It's why you see, our name underneath Ashley's listing right here, right? So they now have to play by all the same rules that we do. Oh, hey, look, we're all over this thing. Go us. So there are some pieces there that you'll have to kind of watch through. Let's see here. Here you go, coming soon. So it looks like there's this one is the one that's coming soon right now. Boy, this house has sold so many times. Last time I sold this one, it was a couple of years ago. This is funny. So it'll say coming soon right up here. So in this situation, October 6th is the availability date, is what they put on the form. And so it will show a coming soon status. But you see here, like they have all the photos in. So that's super cool. But since they have all the photos in, then they have the opportunity. So now I get this things as you kind of work through all this, and then you get all your public remarks that sit here too. So it's just, that's where I'm kind of like, is the coming soon the best solution for what you're trying to get at? Or is there a better solution that you want to have a conversation about? And that's where it all depends upon what you and the client want to do. But most of them that I do, I don't fill this one out. I fill out the withheld form, and I just withhold it because then I can still tell people about it. And then I can say, hey, you know what? Liz has a buyer for this property. I want you to, you can go show it, right? Because we can do that when it's in a withheld status. We can still show the property. We just can't market it at that point. So. Did that bring clarity there, Danny?
Yep.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Any other questions on the coming soon era? All right, seeing none, we will look at that. 3 minutes back. This is fun. Why did agency take so long? Probably because, there's a lot more that goes into that one. Anyway, all right, you guys, I appreciate your time. If you got a form or something you would like specifically covered, feel free to email me, text. You can chat me in Google Chat, and I'll get it added to the list. And we'll kind of just keep walking through these quick 30-minute sessions, short and sweet as we go. But if you got anything else, feel free to reach out. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.